The wolves arrived at midnight carrying children in their jaws. Not one child. Not two. 5. Each pup was cold hungry and terrified. Elara had never seen them before. Yet the moment the smallest boy looked into her eyes, he whispered one word that shattered her world. Mother. Her heart stopped. Before she could speak, thunder echoed through the forest. Royal warriors surrounded her cabin. And, at their front rode the most feared Alpha King alive. His sword flashed in the moonlight. His eyes landed on the little boy hiding behind Elara. Then his face turned deadly.
You stole my heir.
The children screamed. The wolves growled. And for the first time in history, an entire pack of royal wolves turned against their king to protect a woman everyone believed was just a worthless omega. What nobody knew was that the missing prince was only the beginning. Because hidden among those children was a secret powerful enough to destroy kingdoms. And one of them belonged to Elara. The scratching at the door came in the middle of the night.
Once. Twice.
Then again. Elara Ashwood lifted her head from beside the fire. The storm outside had been raging for hours. Snow beat against the tiny windows of her cabin. The wind howled through the forest like a wounded animal. Nobody traveled through these mountains after dark. Nobody. The scratching came again. Slow. Heavy. Almost desperate. Elara rose from her chair and took the lantern from the table. The orange light shook in her hand as she crossed the room. 3 small orphaned pups slept beside the fireplace under thick blankets. She did not want to wake them. The scratching stopped. Silence filled the cabin. Then came a low whine. A sound filled with pain. Elara slowly opened the door. The icy wind rushed inside. She froze. A giant black wolf stood on her doorstep. Its thick fur was covered in snow and blood. One of its legs trembled as if it had traveled for days without rest. And between its jaws was a child. A tiny boy. The wolf carefully lowered him onto the wooden floor. The child looked no older than 5. His cheeks were pale. His lips were blue. He looked up at Elara with silver eyes that seemed strangely familiar. Then he whispered one word. Mother. The lantern almost slipped from her hand. She had never seen this boy before. Never. Yet something inside her chest tightened. The little boy reached for her with shaking fingers.
Please.
The word barely came out. Elara immediately wrapped him in her fur cloak. You are freezing. The boy looked at her as if she were the only safe thing left in the world. Then a long howl echoed through the forest. Elara looked up. Another wolf appeared through the snow. This one carried a little girl. A third wolf followed. Then a fourth. Then a fifth. One by one they stepped into the clearing before her cabin. Each carried a child. 5 enormous wolves. 5 frightened children. The little ones looked hungry and exhausted. One of them was crying softly. Another was asleep in the arms of the wolf carrying him. The black wolf gently pushed the first boy toward Elara. Its golden eyes never left her face. As though it had been searching for her. As though it trusted her. She swallowed hard. For years she had cared for abandoned pups and lost children. Nobody knew why they always found their way to her cabin. Perhaps because she never turned anyone away. Perhaps because she knew what it felt like to lose everything. She knelt in the snow. You are all safe now, she said softly. The little girl immediately ran toward her. The others followed. Tiny hands grabbed her dress. One little boy wrapped his arms around her waist. Tears filled Elara's eyes. Who had left these children in the middle of a blizzard? Who could be so cruel? The first boy looked up at her. We found you. Found me.
He nodded.
The wolves brought us. Before she could ask another question, the sound of galloping horses shattered the night. The wolves instantly turned. Low growls rolled from their throats. Torches appeared between the trees. Then soldiers. More than 20. At their front rode a tall man in black armor. The moonlight touched his face. Sharp features. Dark hair. Piercing blue eyes. The feared ruler of the northern packs. Alpha King Darius Nightfang. His horse stopped so suddenly that snow sprayed around him. He looked at the children. Then his gaze landed on the silver-eyed boy. For one brief second his face changed. Relief.
Pain.
Then pure fury. He jumped from his horse. You. His deep voice cut through the storm. He drew his sword and pointed it at Elara.
You stole my heir.
The children cried out in fear. The little prince hid behind Elara and clutched her dress.
No. Please no.
Elara placed herself in front of him. I have stolen no one. The king's eyes were cold. Then explain why my son is standing behind you. Your son. She looked down at the boy. The entire kingdom had heard stories about the missing prince. Prince Rowan had disappeared 3 months ago. Hundreds of warriors had searched for him. No one had found a trace. Yet here he was, at her doorstep, in the middle of the night, brought by wolves. I do not know how he came here, she said honestly. The king took a step closer. You expect me to believe that? I expect nothing from you. The soldiers stared at her. Nobody spoke to the Alpha King like that. Nobody. The little prince grabbed her hand tighter. Please do not let him take me. Darius looked stunned. Rowan. The boy shook his head. I do not want to go.
You are safe with me.
The child began to cry.
No.
I want my mother. Silence. Then slowly his little hand pointed toward Elara. I found her. The world seemed to stop. The soldiers looked at one another. The king did not move. Elara could not breathe. Mother. Again. Why did he keep saying that? The little girl stepped forward and nodded. The wolves told us our mother was here. Another child spoke. They said she would protect us. Elara's heart pounded. A strange pain suddenly spread through her head. A memory flashed before her eyes. A tiny baby wrapped in silver cloth. A lullaby. A woman's voice. Then darkness. The vision vanished. She stumbled. The king caught it. His eyes narrowed. What happened? Nothing. You turned pale. I am fine. But she was not. Her heart was racing. Why did these children feel familiar? Why did the word mother hurt so much? Then something happened that terrified her even more. A strange warmth filled the air. She looked up. The king was staring at her. His expression had changed. Shock filled his eyes.
No.
Not shock. Recognition. Inside his chest his wolf suddenly awakened.
Mate.
The word exploded through his mind. Darius froze. Impossible. His mate had disappeared years ago before he could even find her. Since then there had been only emptiness. Yet now his wolf was pacing wildly.
Mate. Mate. Mate.
He looked at the woman before him. Silver blonde hair. Blue eyes. A stubborn expression. And a warmth that pulled at his soul.
No.
This could not be happening. Elara felt it too. A strange pull. A connection. Something old and powerful. Fear flashed across her face. She took one step back. The king noticed. You feel it. I do not know what I feel. Before he could move, the giant black wolf stepped between them and bared its teeth. Protecting her. The soldiers gasped. Royal wolves obeyed only one person. Their king. Yet this one stood before an unknown Omega like a loyal guardian. The king's face darkened. Who are you? I am Elara Ashwood. An Omega healer.
No.
Something inside him refused to believe that. There was something hidden about this woman. Something dangerous. The sound of another horse came from the forest. Beta Cashin rode into the clearing. He stopped beside the king. Then he saw Elara. His face turned white. Those eyes. That hair. He had seen them before. 20 years ago. In a burning palace. A little girl had been running through smoke and flames. A princess. The lost daughter of the Moon Kingdom. Princess Selene. She had died that night. Everyone believed it. But looking at this woman now his hands began to shake.
No. It could not be.
The little prince suddenly tugged on Elara's sleeve. She looked down. Tears filled his silver eyes. I finally found you, mother. The words echoed through the clearing. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Even the storm seemed to pause. Elara looked into the child's eyes and something deep inside her heart broke open. An ache. A longing. A love she could not explain. Without thinking, she touched his cheek. The little boy smiled through his tears. The king stared at them. A terrible fear rose inside him. Because for the first time in years, he questioned everything. The missing prince had chosen this woman. The royal wolves protected her. His wolf called her mate. And now his own son claimed she was his mother. Far away in the darkness, a woman watched from behind the trees. A beautiful woman with cold eyes. Lyra Vale. A slow smile spread across her face. At last she whispered, "The dead princess has returned. And this time I will kill her myself." The wind howled through the forest. The wolves growled. And standing in the snow with frightened children clinging to her dress, Elara had no idea that her entire life was about to change forever. The cold wind swept through the clearing and no one dared to speak. Little Rowan still stood beside Elara with his small hand wrapped around hers. The other children pressed close to her as if they had known her forever. Alpha King Darius looked from the boy to the woman and back again. Nothing made sense. His missing son had been found. But instead of running into his arms, he was hiding behind a stranger. A stranger his wolf kept calling mate. The word pounded inside his head.
Mate, mate, mate.
He clenched his fists.
No.
This could not be happening. Elara felt the strange pull too. It was like an invisible thread stretching between them. Every time she looked into his eyes, her heart beat faster. It frightened her. She did not even know this man. Then little Rowan tugged on her sleeve. "I am cold." His tiny voice broke the silence. Elara immediately knelt beside him. "You need warmth." She looked toward the king. "The children will freeze if we stay outside." Darius looked at the frightened faces. For a moment the king disappeared, and only the father remained. "Take them inside." The children entered the cabin one by one. The wolves followed and lay near the door like giant guards. The soldiers remained outside.
No one wanted to get too close to those beasts.
Inside the cabin, the fire crackled softly. Elara wrapped blankets around the children and served them warm soup. The little ones ate as if they had not seen food in days. Rowan sat beside her and refused to let go of her hand. Darius watched everything in silence. The boy had not smiled in months, since the day he disappeared. Yet now there was peace on his face. How was that possible? Beta Cashin stood near the door. His eyes never left Elara. She looked exactly like the little princess he had once carried through the palace gardens. Except that princess had died. Had she not? Elara noticed his stare. "Is something wrong?" Cashin blinked.
No.
"You simply remind me of someone. Someone I knew long ago." Her expression softened. "I do not remember much about my childhood. I lost my family when I was very young." Cashin's heart skipped.
How old were you?
7. The room suddenly felt smaller. 7. The princess had also been 7. Darius noticed his friend's expression. "What is it?" Cashin quickly looked away. "Nothing." But it was not nothing. Not at all. The little girl, who had come with the wolves, suddenly spoke. "The bad men are still looking for us." Every head turned toward her. "Bad men?" She nodded. "They burned our homes. They took our parents. They wanted us too." A deep growl rose from the wolves. The children immediately became frightened. Elara held the little girl close. "Who were these men?" The child shook her head. "I do not know. They wore black masks." Darius frowned. Someone had attacked several villages in recent months. Orphan children had gone missing. He had believed they were taken by rogues. Now he was no longer sure. Then another strange thing happened. One of the wolves slowly approached Elara. The giant beast lowered its head before her. The room went silent. The wolf was bowing. To an omega. Darius stared. Even Cashin looked shocked. The wolf then pushed something toward her with its nose. A small silver object. Elara picked it up. A pendant. Beautiful. Ancient. A silver moon carved into its center. The moment her fingers touched it, a sharp pain exploded inside her head. She gasped. A memory flashed before her eyes. A grand palace. White stone. Moon banners flying in the wind. A woman kneeling before her. "Protect this pendant, my princess. Never lose it." The vision vanished. Elara nearly fell. Darius caught her. His hands closed around her arms. Her skin was warm. The strange pull between them became stronger. "What happened?" "I do not know." She looked at the pendant. "I have seen this before."
Where?
"I cannot remember." Cashin stepped closer. His face had turned pale. "May I see it?" She handed him the pendant. The moment he saw it, his heart stopped. There was no mistake. This was the royal seal of the Moon Kingdom. The kingdom that had been destroyed 20 years ago. The kingdom of Princess Selene. "Where did you get this?" "The wolf brought it." Cashin looked at Elara as if he were seeing a ghost. Darius frowned. "What is this pendant?" Cashin hesitated. Then he forced a smile. "An old trinket. Nothing more." But the lie sat heavily in his chest. He was hiding something. The king could feel it. Suddenly, there was a loud knock at the door. Everyone looked up. A soldier entered. "Your Majesty, a woman has arrived from the palace. She insists on seeing you." A few moments later, another figure stepped into the cabin. She was beautiful,
Tall.
elegant, wrapped in dark furs. Lyra Vale, the king's advisor. Her eyes immediately found Elara. For one tiny moment, hatred flashed across her face. Then it vanished. "Your Majesty," she said softly. "I came as soon as I heard the prince was found." She looked at Rowan, then at Elara, and smiled. "So this is the woman everyone is talking about." Something about her voice made Elara uneasy. Lyra slowly approached. The little prince suddenly hid behind Elara again. Fear entered his eyes. Lyra's smile faded. "Rowan,
Come here.
the boy shook his head.
No.
A strange silence filled the room. Why was the prince afraid of her too? Lyra's gaze returned to Elara. "You seem to have a talent for making children trust you. I only gave them food and warmth." "How kind of you." Her words sounded sweet. Her eyes did not. Darius noticed the tension. "Enough. The children need rest." Lyra lowered her head. "As you wish." But before she turned away, her eyes fell on the silver pendant in Cashin's hand. She froze. The color left her face.
No. It could not be.
That pendant had burned with the palace. She had seen it herself. Then why was it here? Why was it with this woman? A terrible thought entered her mind. Impossible. The princess had died. She had made sure of it. Hadn't she? Outside, the storm grew stronger. Inside the cabin, 100 questions hung in the air. Then little Rowan suddenly looked up at Elara. His silver eyes filled with tears.
Do not leave me.
"I will not."
Promise.
She gently touched his cheek. "I promise." The little boy smiled and closed his eyes. Within moments, he fell asleep against her shoulder. Darius stared at them, at the sleeping child, at the woman holding him. A strange pain filled his chest. It looked so natural, too natural, as if they belonged together, as if they had always belonged together. Then his wolf whispered once more,
Mate.
And for the first time in many years, the Alpha King began to fear that destiny had returned to claim a debt he had never known he owed. Across the room, Lyra looked at the sleeping prince and the silver pendant. Her hands slowly curled into fists. If this woman truly was the lost princess, then everything was in danger. Her secrets, her plans, her future. She could not allow it, no matter the cost. Her eyes darkened. Someone would have to die before the sun rose. The fire had almost burned out when the first scream came from outside. Everyone inside the cabin froze. Another scream followed. Then came the sound of running feet. A soldier burst through the door. Your Majesty, there are villagers outside. Hundreds of them. Darius frowned. At this hour, the soldier looked nervous. They are demanding the woman. The room fell silent. Elara slowly stood.
Me.
The soldier swallowed. They say you are cursed. They believe you stole the children. Another scream rose from outside. This time many voices joined together.
Witch. Witch.
Give us the children. The little ones woke in fear. Rowan immediately wrapped his arms around Elara.
Do not let them take us.
She held him close. I will not. The king's face darkened. He walked to the door and opened it. The storm had finally stopped. But another storm waited outside. Nearly 100 villagers stood in the snow carrying torches. Their angry faces glowed red in the firelight. An old man stepped forward. Your Majesty, that woman is dangerous. She brought darkness to our lands. Children disappear, and then they appear at her door. This is not natural. Another voice shouted from the crowd. She is a witch. Burn her cabin. Fear swept through the children. One little girl started crying. Elara's chest tightened. She had heard these words before. Different faces. Different village. Same hatred. Her mind suddenly filled with another memory. Fire. Smoke. People screaming. A woman carrying her through burning halls. Run, my princess. Do not look back. The memory vanished. Elara gasped. Darius turned. What happened? Nothing. But it was not nothing. The visions were becoming stronger. The old man pointed toward her. You should hand her over. Before she curses us all. A low growl suddenly echoed behind him. The giant black wolf stepped out of the cabin. Then another. And another. 5 massive wolves stood beside Elara. Their eyes glowed in the darkness. The villagers stumbled backward. The old man turned pale. Darius crossed his arms. No one touches her. The crowd looked shocked. Your Majesty. I said no one touches her. The old man lowered his head, but anger still burned in his eyes. Then a woman stepped from the crowd. She was crying. My daughter was taken 3 months ago. She looked at the children near the doorway. Then she screamed. That is my child. Everyone turned. A little boy standing beside Elara suddenly looked up. Mother. The woman ran forward. The child rushed into her arms. Both began to cry. The crowd went silent. The woman looked at Elara through tears. You saved him. I thought I would never see him again. Elara smiled softly. He is safe now. Another man stepped forward. Then another. Within minutes, 2 more children were reunited with their parents. The anger in the crowd slowly faded. Confusion replaced it. An old woman whispered, perhaps she is not cursed.
Perhaps she is blessed.
The giant wolf sat calmly beside Elara, as if protecting something precious, as if protecting their queen. Cashin kept staring at her. The more he watched her, the more certain he became. This was no ordinary Omega. This woman carried royal blood. Then one of the children who remained stepped toward Elara. A little girl with dark curls and bright blue eyes. She held Elara's hand. Do not cry, princess. Everything will be all right. Silence. The word struck like thunder.
Princess.
Darius looked at the child. Cashin's face lost all color. Even Lyra nearly stopped breathing. Elara blinked. What did you call me? The little girl smiled. Princess. That is what the wolves call you. A cold shiver passed through the clearing. Cashin slowly stepped backward.
No.
This could not be a coincidence anymore. The pendant.
The eyes. The age.
The memories. And now this. The lost princess was alive. Lyra felt her heart begin to race. Panic spread through her. 20 years ago, she had watched the Moon Kingdom burn. She had helped plan the massacre. She had seen soldiers chase the royal family. No survivors. No witnesses. That had been the promise. Yet this woman stood before her alive. And if she remembered the truth, then everything Lyra had built would crumble. She had to act.
Now.
Before it was too late. The little girl suddenly looked toward the forest. They are coming. Everyone frowned. Who is coming? The child's smile disappeared. The men in black. A terrible howl echoed from deep within the trees. Then another. The wolves around Elara instantly stood. Their fur rose.
The air changed.
Danger. Darius pulled his sword. Warriors form a line. Soldiers rushed forward. Another howl split the night. Dark figures appeared between the trees. Men wearing black masks. At least 20 of them. Each carried weapons. The villagers screamed and retreated. The leader stepped forward. Give us the children. No one moved. The masked man looked directly at Elara. And the woman. Darius stepped in front of her. Who are you? The man laughed. The dead should stay dead. The word sent ice through Elara's veins. Before anyone could speak, an arrow flew through the darkness. It missed Elara by inches and buried itself in the cabin wall. Chaos exploded. The wolves attacked. Soldiers drew swords. The masked men charged. The snowy clearing became a battlefield. Darius cut down the first attacker. Cashin fought beside him. The wolves tore through the enemy like shadows. Elara gathered the children and rushed them inside. Another arrow shattered the window. The children screamed. Then the cabin door burst open. One of the masked men stepped inside. He looked directly at Elara. "There you are, princess." Her blood turned cold. How did he know that name? The man raised his sword. Before he could strike, Rowan grabbed a burning piece of wood from the fireplace and threw it at him. The attacker cried out. Elara pulled the children behind her. The giant black wolf suddenly crashed through the doorway and slammed into the man. A moment later, the attacker lay dead. Silence filled the cabin. Outside, the battle ended as quickly as it had begun. The remaining masked men fled into the forest. Darius entered the cabin. His breathing was heavy. His armor was stained with blood. "Are you hurt?" Elara shook her head. Then she looked at the dead attacker. His mask had fallen. Across his neck was a symbol, a silver moon. The moment she saw it, another memory exploded inside her mind. A palace, a throne, a man kneeling before her father. The same symbol, then flames, screams,
Blood.
She staggered. Darius caught her before she fell. "Elara." She looked up at him with frightened eyes. "I remember fire. I remember a palace. I remember someone calling me princess." The room went silent. Cassian slowly closed his eyes. The truth could no longer stay hidden. Then the little girl took Elara's hand again. Her tiny face was serious. "You must go home, princess. Your palace is waiting." Outside, the cold wind began to rise once more. And somewhere deep within the mountains, an ancient secret was beginning to wake. The fire inside the cabin burned low. No one spoke. The dead attacker's body still lay near the broken doorway. Snow drifted through the shattered window. Elara could still hear the little girl. "Your palace is waiting." The words would not leave her mind. She looked down at the silver moon symbol on the dead man's neck. Something about it felt familiar. Too familiar. Then another memory flashed before her eyes. A grand hall filled with light. A man wearing a silver crown. A woman with long golden hair kneeling beside her. Then blood. Screams. Fire swallowing everything. Elara gasped and pressed a hand to her head. Darius caught her arm. "The visions again." She nodded. "I keep seeing a palace. I keep hearing people call me princess." The king looked at Cassian. The beta's face had turned pale. "Tell me what you know." Cassian remained silent.
"Tell me."
At last the beta sighed. "There was once another kingdom beyond the northern mountains. The Moon Kingdom. It was destroyed 20 years ago. No one survived." Elara slowly looked up. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because the princess of that kingdom had your eyes. Your hair. And she disappeared when she was 7. Silence filled the room. Even the children stopped breathing.
"No."
Elara stepped backward. "That is impossible." Cassian swallowed hard. "I thought so too. Until tonight." The giant black wolf suddenly stood and walked toward the door. Its ears lifted. A low growl rolled from its throat. The other wolves did the same. "Danger." Darius turned. Soldiers outside shouted. A rider approached. One of the guards burst inside. "Your Majesty." "The prince is gone." Everything stopped. "Rowan." Elara looked around wildly. The little boy who had been sleeping beside the fire was no longer there. The blanket was empty.
"No."
She rushed outside. Snow covered the clearing. Warriors ran in every direction. A set of small footprints led toward the forest. Beside them were larger tracks. Someone had taken him. "Rowan." Her voice broke. Darius's face turned white. "Find my son."
"Now."
The soldiers scattered. The wolves howled and raced into the trees. Elara did not wait. She ran after them. The cold air burned her lungs. Branches struck her face. Snow sank beneath her feet. She could hear Rowan crying somewhere ahead. Then a hand grabbed her arm. "Darius, you cannot go alone. I have to find him."
"So do I."
For one long moment they looked at each other. Then he nodded. Together. She nodded back. Together. They followed the tracks deeper into the forest. The moon hid behind dark clouds. Everything felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. Then they heard it. A child crying. "Rowan." Elara ran faster. The The trees suddenly opened into a frozen clearing. A black carriage stood there. Several masked men surrounded it, and one of them held Rowan in his arms. The little prince was struggling. "Mother." The word pierced the night. Elara moved without thinking. She grabbed a fallen branch and charged. "Leave him alone." The men laughed. One stepped forward. "The dead princess has spirit."
She froze.
Again. That name. Princess.
Who are you?
The man smiled beneath his mask. "Someone who buried your family." Darius drew his sword. "You will answer for that." The masked man ignored him. Instead, he looked at Elara.
You should have stayed dead.
A terrible chill ran through her body. Before anyone could move the man threw a knife. Darius knocked it aside. The battle began. Steel flashed in the moonlight. The wolves burst from the trees and attacked. Men screamed. The carriage horses panicked. Elara ran toward Rowan. She was only a few steps away. Then another masked man grabbed the boy and climbed into the carriage.
No.
She lunged forward. The door slammed shut. The horses raced away. Rowan's little hand reached through the window. "Mother." The carriage disappeared into the darkness. Everything became silent. Elara stood frozen. Then she fell to her knees.
No. No. No.
Tears filled her eyes. Darius had never seen pain like this. She looked like a mother who had lost her child. But that was impossible. Was it not? He slowly knelt beside her. "We will find him." She looked at him. "I cannot lose him." Her voice broke. "I cannot." Something twisted inside his chest. He had seen many people care for children. But this was different. This was deeper. As though a part of her soul had been torn away. The giant black wolf approached. In its mouth was something silver. It dropped the object before Elara. A small chain. Rowan's chain. She picked it up. The moment her fingers touched it, another memory exploded inside her mind. A baby crying. 2 babies.
A boy.
A girl. Someone placing a silver chain around a tiny neck. Then a woman's voice. "Protect the heirs. Protect them both." Elara gasped.
Both.
She looked up in terror. There were 2 children. 2 heirs. Then the vision vanished. Darius caught her as she swayed. "What happened?" "I saw babies. 2 of them." The king frowned.
2.
Before she could answer, the black wolf suddenly began walking away. Then it stopped and looked back at her. Its glowing eyes seemed to say one thing. "Follow." The wolf began moving through the trees. Elara stood. "Where is it going?" The wolf howled. Cashin suddenly looked alarmed.
No.
"It cannot be."
What?
"There is an old legend. A hidden palace buried in the northern mountains. The last home of the Moon Kingdom. No one has found it in 20 years." The wolf howled again, then disappeared into the forest. Alara's heart pounded. For some reason she knew. The wolf was leading her there. And somehow Rowan was connected to that place. She turned to Darius. "I have to follow it. It could be a trap. Maybe. But if Rowan is there, I cannot turn back." The king looked at her for a long time. Then he nodded. "I am coming with you." She shook her head.
No. Why?
"Because this path is calling me."
Not you.
Silence. Then she gently handed him Rowan's silver chain. "Bring him back." Her voice trembled.
Please.
Before he could answer, she turned and followed the black wolf into the darkness. Darius watched her disappear between the trees. Something inside him screamed to go after her.
Mate.
The word echoed again. But she was already gone. Far ahead, the black wolf stopped beside an enormous wall of ice. Moonlight suddenly broke through the clouds. The ice shimmered. Then ancient stone appeared beneath it. Tower after tower. A palace hidden by magic. Elara stopped breathing. The doors slowly opened by themselves. A warm light spilled into the snow. And a voice whispered through the night. "Welcome home, Princess Selene." The palace stood before her like a dream forgotten by time. Its silver towers touched the night sky. Snow covered its ancient walls, but soft golden light glowed from the windows. Elara could not breathe. She had never been here. Yet every stone felt familiar. The giant black wolf walked through the open gates and disappeared inside. For a long moment, she remained frozen. Then she took one step forward. Another. And another. The moment she crossed the gates, a warm wind touched her face. The snow vanished. The cold disappeared. It was as though the palace itself had been waiting for her. The great doors slowly closed behind her. A deep silence filled the hall. Tall pillars lined the room. Silver banners hung from the ceiling. At the center stood a throne. And above the throne was the symbol of a crescent moon. Elara's heart began to pound. Suddenly footsteps echoed. She turned. No one was there. Then a woman's voice filled the hall. "Welcome home, Princess Selene." Elara's blood turned cold. "Who is there?" A soft light appeared before her. It grew brighter and brighter until it became the shape of a woman. She wore a white gown that seemed woven from moonlight itself. Her silver eyes were gentle. Her smile was sad. Elara stepped backward. "Who are you?" The woman slowly raised her hand. "I am the last guardian of this palace. I have waited for you for 20 years. I am no princess." The woman smiled. "You were taught that lie to protect you." Then she touched Elara's forehead. The world exploded. Flames. Smoke. Screams. A king lying on the floor covered in blood. A queen crying. A little girl hiding beneath a table. The little girl was her. The queen grabbed her shoulders. "Listen to me, Selene. You must run. You must live. One day you will return." The memory changed. A servant carrying her through hidden tunnels. Soldiers chasing them. A palace burning behind them. Then darkness. Elara gasped and fell to her knees. Tears filled her eyes. "I remember." The woman knelt beside her.
Yes.
"You are Princess Selene of the Moon Kingdom, the last child of the royal bloodline." Elara's hands trembled. "My parents. They are gone." The woman's expression softened. "They died protecting you." A tear slid down Elara's cheek. For years she had believed she was an orphan. For years she had thought she belonged nowhere.
But she had a family.
A kingdom.
A name.
Who killed them? The woman's eyes darkened. "Betrayal destroyed your kingdom. Someone close to your family opened the gates. Someone wanted the throne." Before Elara could ask more, a child's cry suddenly echoed through the palace. "Mother!" Her heart stopped. "Rowan!" She stood. "Where is he?" The woman pointed toward a long corridor. "Find your son." Elara froze. "My son." The woman looked directly into her eyes. "You already know the truth." The memories came back. 2 babies.
A boy.
A girl. Silver eyes. Tiny hands. Then another memory appeared. A dark room. A man standing before her. Alpha Darius. Much younger. A moon ceremony. A secret bond.
A kiss.
Then pain. She had loved him. Years ago. Before her memories were taken. Before she was forced to flee. Then another memory came. She was holding a newborn baby. Then another.
Twins.
A boy and a girl. The children were in danger. Someone was coming. A loyal servant took the babies away. You must forget everything if you wish to survive. The memory ended. Elara nearly collapsed.
No, it cannot be.
The woman gently touched her cheek. "Prince Rowan is your son. And he is not the only child you lost." Tears poured down Elara's face. "My babies. Where are they?" The woman slowly stood. "One child has returned to you. The other is still hidden. Find the first. Then destiny will guide you to the second." Another cry echoed through the palace. "Mother!" This time it was louder. Elara ran. She rushed down the corridor. Past old paintings. Past silver doors. At the end she found a room glowing with moonlight. Rowan sat inside. He looked frightened. The moment he saw her, his face lit up. "Mother!" He ran into her arms. Elara held him tightly. Tears fell into his hair. "I found you." The little boy smiled. "I knew you would come." She pulled back and looked into his face. The same silver eyes. The same tiny nose. Her son. Her child. A love unlike anything she had ever known filled her heart. Then Rowan touched her cheek. "Why are you crying?" "Because I lost you." The little boy wrapped his arms around her neck. I am here now. A sudden tremor shook the palace. The walls began to glow. The woman appeared in the doorway. The time has come. For what? For your awakening. Elara frowned. Awakening. The woman smiled. You are not an Omega. You never were. You carry the blood of the Moon Kings. And your wolf has been sleeping for 20 years. Another tremor shook the palace. Silver light poured through the windows. The woman held out her hand.
Come.
Elara carried Rowan and followed her into the throne room. At the center of the hall was a pool of glowing water. Moonlight fell directly upon it. Step forward, princess. She slowly approached. What will happen? The woman smiled. You will become who you were always meant to be. The moonlight suddenly wrapped around Elara. Warmth spread through her body. Then came pain. Terrible pain. She cried out. Her bones felt as though they were breaking. Silver light exploded around her. Rowan stared with wide eyes. Mother. The woman's voice echoed through the hall. Do not fear the pain. Embrace it. Remember who you are. The memories flooded back. Her kingdom. Her parents. Her love. Her children. Her name. Princess Selene. The last moon heir. Power burst through her veins. The floor trembled. A howl filled the palace. Not from outside. From her. Her eyes turned silver. Light surrounded her. And then it happened. A massive silver wolf stepped into the moonlight. Beautiful. Powerful. Its blue eyes glowed like stars. The sleeping wolf inside her had awakened. The last moon queen had returned. Far away in the forest, Alpha King Darius suddenly stopped. A powerful howl echoed across the mountains. His wolf instantly rose.
Mate.
He looked toward the northern peaks. A strange light shone above them. Something had changed. Something impossible. Then he heard another sound. A second howl. This one was filled with power. Filled with royalty. Darius's heart began to race. Because somehow he knew. The woman he could not forget was no longer the same. And deep within the hidden palace, the great silver wolf lifted its head toward the moon. Then slowly it turned toward the doorway. Someone was coming. And the scent carried by the wind was one she knew. Alpha Darius Nightfang. The silver wolf stood beneath the moon. Its fur glowed like fresh snow under starlight. Its blue eyes shone with power. For a long moment there was only silence. Then the great wolf slowly lowered its head and looked at Rowan. The little boy smiled. Mother. The sound of his voice changed everything. Silver light wrapped around the wolf. A moment later Elara stood there once more. Her long hair now carried strands of shining silver.
Her eyes had changed.
They no longer looked soft and uncertain. They looked ancient, royal, powerful. She slowly touched her face. I changed. The guardian smiled. You awakened. Tears filled Elara's eyes. For 20 years she had believed she was weak. An ordinary Omega. Now she knew the truth. She carried the blood of kings. She was the last daughter of the Moon Kingdom. And she was a mother. Rowan suddenly wrapped his arms around her legs. You look beautiful. She laughed softly through her tears and lifted him into her arms. The guardian watched them. Then her expression became serious. You do not have much time. Elara frowned. What do you mean? The people who destroyed your family know you have returned. They will come. The warmth in the room faded.
Who are they?
The guardian slowly turned toward the throne. A traitor hid among your enemies. Someone who has spent 20 years making sure you would never remember your past. Elara's hands tightened around Rowan.
Who?
Before the guardian could answer, footsteps echoed outside. A deep voice filled the hall. Elara. Her heart skipped. Darius. The Alpha King entered the palace. Then he stopped. For a long moment he simply stared. The woman before him was different. More beautiful. More powerful. As if moonlight itself lived inside her. His wolf instantly rose.
Mate.
There was no denying it anymore. She was his. And yet something else shook him. She looked like a queen. A queen he somehow remembered. Elara looked at him in silence. Memories had returned. She remembered everything. She remembered the young Alpha who had once saved her during a royal gathering. She remembered falling in love. She remembered a secret bond beneath the moon. Then she remembered the attack, the separation, the darkness. Tears filled her eyes. You came. Darius took one step forward. I could not stay away. For a moment they simply looked at each other. Then Rowan smiled. Father. The word hit like thunder. Silence filled the hall. Darius slowly looked at the child.
What did you say?
The little boy looked confused. You are my father. Elara's breath caught. The guardian closed her eyes. The truth had arrived. Darius looked at Elara, then at Rowan, then back at her.
No. It cannot be.
Elara slowly stepped forward. I remember now. Everything. The king's face turned pale. What do you remember?
You.
The moon ceremony. Our bond. Our children. Children. His voice broke. She nodded. We had twins. A boy and a girl. The world seemed to stop. Darius could barely breathe. Twins. Then Rowan. The little prince looked exactly like him. The silver eyes. The dark hair. The smile. His knees suddenly felt weak. The child he had searched for. The child he had mourned. His son. His own flesh and blood. He slowly looked at Rowan. I am your father. The little boy smiled. I knew it. Tears filled the Alpha King's eyes. He had fought wars, faced death, buried friends. Nothing had ever broken him, but this did. He walked forward and slowly knelt. May I? Rowan looked at Elara. She nodded. The little boy stepped into his arms. Darius held him tightly, as if he feared he might disappear. My son. The words came out like a whisper. For the first time in years he cried. Elara watched in silence. Her own eyes filled with tears. Then another thought struck him. A daughter. Where is our daughter? The joy vanished from her face. I do not know. I only remember someone taking both children away to save them. The guardian stepped forward. One child returned to you. The other remains hidden. But she lives. Hope filled the room. Then the guardian looked directly at Darius. There is more you must know. The king slowly stood. The woman you trust in your court is not your ally. A cold feeling spread through him.
Who?
Lyra Vale. Silence.
No.
The guardian nodded. She helped destroy the Moon Kingdom. She wanted the throne. And she still does. Darius stepped backward. That was impossible. Lyra had been at his side for years. She had helped him rule. She had advised him. She had comforted him after Rowan disappeared.
No.
Then another memory surfaced. Lyra had been strangely calm when Rowan vanished. She had tried to stop the search. She had been terrified when she saw the silver pendant. His blood turned cold. Cashin. The beta had known something. And suddenly everything made sense.
The attacks.
The missing children. The masked men. The lies. Rage filled him. I trusted her. The guardian's eyes softened. The deepest wounds come from those we trust. A sudden tremor shook the palace. Everyone looked up. The guardian's light flickered. My time is ending. Elara stepped forward. Please do not leave.
You no longer need me. You know who you are now.
The guardian touched her cheek.
Protect your family.
Protect your kingdom. Then she smiled at Rowan. And find the little moon who still waits for her mother. Her body slowly turned to silver light. Then she vanished. Silence filled the throne room. At that moment, a howl echoed outside. Then another. Then many more. Elara walked toward the palace doors. The sight before her stole her breath. Hundreds of wolves stood in the snow. All of them bowed. Every head lowered before her. The last Moon Queen had returned. Darius looked at her, at the wolves, at the moonlight shining around her, and he realized something terrifying. This woman was no longer the lonely Omega living in a cabin. She was a queen with an army, a queen with a kingdom, and he had lost 20 years with her. Regret settled heavily inside his chest. Then Elara slowly turned toward him. Her eyes were full of pain. I need time. He understood immediately. Too much had happened. Too many wounds had reopened. He nodded. Take all the time you need. She gave him a sad smile. Then she looked toward the mountains. I have to find our daughter. The wolves began to howl again. A cold wind swept across the palace. When Darius looked back toward Elara, his heart stopped. She was gone. Only silver footprints remained in the snow. The Moon Queen had disappeared into the night. And for the first time in his life, the Alpha King feared that destiny had returned his mate only so he could lose her all over again. Snow fell softly over the mountains. A silver wolf ran through the darkness. Its paws barely touched the ground. Its blue eyes glowed beneath the moon. Elara had been running for hours. She did not know where she was going, only that something deep inside her heart was pulling her forward. A mother's instinct. A promise. Somewhere out there her daughter was alive. She could feel it. The silver wolf finally stopped beside a frozen river. Moonlight danced across the ice. The night was silent. Then a small whimper reached her ears. Elara lifted her head. Another sound came. A child crying. She shifted back into her human form and followed the sound. Behind a cluster of snow-covered trees, she found a tiny cave. Inside sat 3 orphaned pups. 2 boys and 1 little girl. Their clothes were torn. Their faces were dirty. The smallest girl held a piece of bread that had turned hard as stone. The children looked up in fear. Then the little girl smiled. The Moon Queen found us. Elara froze.
How do you know me?
The child pointed outside. The wolves told us. A giant gray wolf stepped from the shadows and bowed before Elara. Then another appeared. And another. Soon 10 wolves stood around the cave. All of them lowered their heads. Elara's eyes filled with tears. Again. The wolves were bringing lost children to her, as if the entire world believed she could save them. She knelt before the little girl. Where are your parents? The child looked down. The bad people took them. The same answer. The same pain. Anger burned inside Elara. How many children had suffered because of the traitors who destroyed her kingdom? The little girl suddenly touched Elara's hand. You look sad. Elara smiled gently. A little. The child hugged her. Then I will stay with you until you smile again. The simple words almost broke her heart. She held the little girl close. At that moment, a howl echoed from the mountain above. Hundreds of answering howls followed. Elara looked up. Wolves were coming. They appeared one after another. Black wolves, white wolves, gray wolves, old wolves and young wolves. An entire army covered the hillside. Then all of them bowed. The sight stole her breath. A giant white wolf stepped forward. Its muzzle was scarred. Its eyes were ancient. The wolf slowly shifted. An old man stood before her. His hair was silver. A moon symbol was carved into his wrist. He dropped to one knee. My queen. Elara stared at him.
Who are you?
I am Aldrich, last commander of the Moon Guard. I have searched for you for 20 years. Her heart skipped. You knew my family. I swore to your father that I would protect his bloodline. Tears filled her eyes. Then why did you never find me? Because powerful magic hid you from the world. But now your wolf has awakened. Now every loyal heart knows you have returned. The wolves behind him howled. Aldrich stood. The kingdom needs you. Elara looked at the children in the cave. I only wanted a peaceful life. The old man smiled sadly. Peace rarely chooses queens. Before she could answer, another figure appeared on the hillside. Darius. He had followed her scent through the mountains. Beside him stood Cashin and little Rowan. The prince jumped from his horse and ran toward her. Mother. Elara caught him in her arms. You should not be here. I wanted to find you. She kissed his forehead. I missed you too. Darius watched them. Every time he saw her with Rowan, the truth became more real. This was his family. The family he never knew he had. He slowly approached. The wolves growled. Aldrich stepped between them. The Alpha King is not welcome. Darius stopped. I did not come as a king. Then why are you here? He looked at Elara. Because I cannot lose her again. Silence settled over the mountain. Elara looked into his eyes. For the first time, she saw something she had never seen before. Regret. Deep and painful. Cashin stepped forward. There is something you both need to know. Everyone looked at him. The beta lowered his head. I knew who she was. Since the first night. Elara frowned. You knew. I recognized your pendant and your eyes. Then why did you say nothing? Because I feared the truth. I feared what it would bring. The old commander looked at him. And now the truth has brought war. As if summoned by his words, a black hawk suddenly flew from the sky. It landed on a nearby rock. A message tube was tied to its leg. Cashin removed it and opened the letter. His face turned pale. What is it? He looked at Darius. The capital has fallen into chaos. Lyra has taken control of the palace. She has declared herself ruler. Shock spread through the group. There is more. His voice became heavy. She claims the Moon Princess has returned to destroy the kingdom. She has ordered your death. A cold wind swept across the mountain. The children huddled together. Darius slowly closed his eyes. She moved faster than I expected. Aldrich's expression darkened. The traitor finally shows her face. Then another voice came from behind them. A familiar voice. Because I am tired of hiding. Everyone turned. A woman stepped from the shadows. Dressed in black. Her lips curved into a cruel smile. Lyra Vale. Soldiers emerged from the trees behind her. Archers. Warriors. At least 50. Darius's face hardened. How did you find us? She laughed softly. I followed the king. Her eyes moved to Elara. Then she smiled. Hello, princess. Elara slowly stood. You destroyed my family. Lyra's eyes glittered.
Yes.
Silence. Even the wind seemed to stop. Darius stared at her.
What?
She looked at him with amusement. Did you truly never wonder who opened the palace gates 20 years ago? Who betrayed the Moon King? Who hunted the royal family? It was me. Elara's hands trembled.
Why?
Because your father had everything. Power. A kingdom. A future. And I had nothing. So I took it all away. The children behind Elara began to cry. Rowan clutched her hand. Mother. But Elara did not move. Her eyes never left Lyra. The woman smiled again. I killed your parents. I burned your home. And now I will finish what I started. She slowly drew her sword. The wolves growled. The mountains shook with their anger. Darius stepped forward. You lied to me for years. Lyra looked at him with cold eyes. I loved you. You loved power. I simply gave you what you wanted. I never wanted this.
No.
She laughed bitterly. You wanted her. Even then. Even now. She pointed her sword at Elara. And I will never allow her to have everything. The wind howled across the mountain. Hundreds of wolves stepped forward. Blue eyes glowed in the darkness. Aldrich raised his sword. The moon guard stands with its queen. The wolves howled. Darius drew his own blade. And I stand with my mate. Lyra's smile slowly disappeared. War had come. And under the silver moon, the last princess and the woman who murdered her family finally stood face to face. The mountain became silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Lyra stood in the moonlight with her sword in hand and a smile on her face. I killed your parents. The words still hung in the cold air. Elara felt as though the world had stopped turning. She remembered her mother's face, her father's laugh, the warmth of her home, then flames,
blood,
screams. And now she knew who had taken it all away. The pain inside her slowly became something else. Something colder. Something stronger.
Rage.
Lyra raised her chin proudly. Go ahead, princess.
Cry.
Scream. You always were weak. The silver light around Elara began to glow brighter. The wolves behind her lifted their heads. Their eyes shone like stars. Rowan held her hand tightly. Mother. His tiny voice pulled her back. She looked down at him. At her son. At the children hiding behind her. She could not become the monster standing before her. Slowly, she took a deep breath. Then she looked at Lyra. You took everything from me. The woman smiled. Not everything. I failed to kill you. I will correct that mistake tonight. She lifted her sword. Before she could move, Darius stepped in front of Elara. You will not touch her. Lyra's face twisted with anger. You would protect her after everything. After all these years. He looked directly into her eyes. I finally see you for who you are. You never loved me. You only wanted power. The words struck her harder than any blade. For the first time, sadness appeared in her eyes. I gave you everything. You gave me lies. Silence fell again. Then Aldrich stepped forward. There will be no battle tonight. The old commander raised his sword toward the sky. Bring her to the capital. Let the people hear the truth. Murmurs spread among the soldiers. Many had served under Lyra. Many had trusted her. Now doubt filled their faces. One by one they lowered their weapons. Lyra looked around in disbelief.
No.
You belong to me. A young warrior stepped forward. Did you truly kill the Moon King? She stared at him. Answer him. Another soldier spoke. Did you destroy an entire kingdom? The questions came from every direction. Lyra slowly stepped backward. For the first time, fear touched her face. Elara looked at her. Take her to the capital. The soldiers surrounded Lyra. She laughed bitterly. You think chains can stop me? She suddenly pulled a knife from her sleeve and rushed toward Rowan. The little prince screamed. Everything happened in one heartbeat. A silver blur crossed the snow. Elara shifted into her wolf form and slammed into Lyra. The knife flew from her hand. The wolves growled. The soldiers grabbed her. Lyra struggled.
No. No.
She looked up at the great silver wolf standing over her. You should have died with your family. The silver wolf stared at her with glowing eyes, then slowly shifted back into human form. Elara's voice was calm. I did die that night, but I came back. For my children. For my kingdom. And for justice. The soldiers pulled Lyra away. Her screams echoed through the mountains. The journey to the capital lasted until sunrise. By the time they arrived, the entire kingdom had gathered in the great square. Thousands of people filled the streets. Whispers spread through the crowd. The Moon Princess has returned. The Lost Queen is alive. Elara walked through the gates, wearing silver armor given to her by Aldrich. The wolves followed behind her. Rowan held her hand. Darius walked at her side. People stared in silence. Then an old woman stepped forward. She looked at Elara for a long moment. Then she knelt. My queen. Another person knelt. Then another. Soon hundreds of people bowed. Tears filled Elara's eyes. These people had suffered too. They had lived under lies. Today the truth would finally be free. Lyra was brought to the center of the square. Chains bound her wrists. For the first time she looked small.
Weak.
A platform had been prepared. Aldrich stood upon it. Today the kingdom will hear the truth. The crowd became silent. Cashin stepped forward and told everything. The Moon Kingdom. The betrayal. The missing princess. The stolen children. The attacks. Every lie. Every crime. With each word the faces in the crowd changed.
Shock.
Anger. Disbelief. Then Darius stepped forward. I was blind. I trusted the wrong person. I failed my people. I failed my mate. And I failed my children. The crowd remained silent. Then he did something no one expected. The Alpha King slowly dropped to one knee before Elara. Gasps filled the square. He lowered his head. Princess Selene. Elara. I cannot return the years you lost. I cannot erase your pain. But I will spend the rest of my life earning your forgiveness. Silence. The mighty Alpha King knelt before the woman he once accused of stealing his heir. Tears filled many eyes. Rowan smiled. Mother. Father is saying sorry. A small laugh escaped Elara. Even now children could find light in darkness. She looked at Darius, then slowly held out her hand. He looked up. You made mistakes.
So did I.
But our children deserve a future. Hope filled his eyes.
Does this mean?
She smiled softly. It means we begin again. The crowd erupted in cheers. Rowan clapped happily. Then suddenly a voice rang through the square.
Wait.
Everyone turned. A small figure stood at the edge of the crowd. A little girl, perhaps 5 years old. Silver eyes. Dark hair. A silver moon pendant hung around her neck. Elara stopped breathing. The child looked directly at her. Then her tiny lips trembled. Mother. Silence crashed over the square. The little girl took one small step forward. I finally found you. Rowan's eyes widened. A sister. Elara felt her knees weaken. The memory returned. 2 babies.
A boy.
A girl. Twins. Tears filled her eyes. The little girl smiled through her own tears.
I knew you would come back for me.
The entire kingdom watched in stunned silence, because the greatest secret of all had just walked into the light. The lost princess had not only found her son, she had found her daughter too. The entire square fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The little girl stood alone at the edge of the crowd with tears shining in her silver eyes. Mother. The words seemed to echo through the kingdom. Elara stared at the child. The same silver eyes. The same dark hair as Rowan. The same moon pendant. Her daughter. The child she had searched for without even knowing her name. Tears blurred her vision. The little girl took another step. Then another. I waited for you. Her tiny voice trembled. I knew you would come. Elara could not hold back any longer. She ran. The crowd parted before her. A moment later she dropped to her knees and wrapped the little girl in her arms. The child clung to her tightly. Both of them began to cry. I am sorry. The words poured from Elara's lips. I am so sorry. The little girl shook her head. You came back. That is all that matters. The entire square stood in silence. Even warriors wiped tears from their eyes. Rowan suddenly ran forward. He looked at the little girl with wonder. Are you my sister? The little girl smiled. I think so. He grinned. I always wanted a sister. The little girl laughed for the first time. The sound was soft and beautiful. Elara looked between her children. For years she had believed she was alone. Now she had everything. A son. A daughter. A family. Darius slowly approached. His eyes were full of emotion. The little girl looked up at him. Are you my father? His breath caught. He slowly knelt before her. If you will allow me to be. The little girl studied his face. Then she smiled. You look like Rowan. A laugh escaped him. Then she suddenly threw her little arms around his neck. He held her carefully, as if she were made of glass. Tears filled his eyes once again. He had lost so much, but fate had returned it all. What is your name? The little girl looked at Elara. The woman who raised me called me Luna. Elara smiled through her tears. Luna. The name suited her perfectly. A soft cheer spread through the crowd. Then it grew louder. Soon the entire square erupted with joy. Their lost queen had returned. The royal heirs had returned. Hope had returned. Aldrich stepped forward. The kingdom has been broken for many years. But tonight a new chapter begins. The old commander turned toward Elara. Princess Selene, will you accept your crown? The square became silent once more. Every eye turned toward her. Elara looked at the people. At the children. At the wolves sitting around the square. At Darius and their 2 little ones. She remembered the lonely cabin. The cold nights. The years of believing she was nothing. Then she looked at the people before her. They needed someone. They needed hope. Slowly she nodded. I will. The crowd erupted. Wolves began to howl. The sound rolled across the kingdom like thunder. Later that evening torches filled the palace courtyard. The old throne room had been prepared. Silver banners hung from every wall. Flowers covered the steps. The people gathered inside and outside the palace. Nobody wanted to miss the moment. Elara wore a gown of silver and white. Her long hair flowed down her back. A moon-shaped crown rested in Aldrich's hands. Rowan and Luna stood beside her. They refused to leave her side. Darius watched her from a few steps away. She looked beautiful, powerful, like the queen she had always been. Aldrich raised the crown. 20 years ago, this kingdom lost its light. Tonight, that light returns. He gently placed the crown upon her head. I present to you Queen Selene of the Moon Kingdom. The hall exploded with cheers. The wolves howled once again. Elara looked around in disbelief.
Queen.
The word still felt strange. Luna tugged on her hand. Mother. She looked down.
Can we all stay together now?
A tear slipped down Elara's cheek.
Yes.
We can. The little girl smiled brightly. Then Rowan grabbed Darius's hand. And father too. Darius looked at Elara. For a long moment neither spoke. There were still wounds between them, still lost years. But there was also something else.
Hope.
He slowly walked toward her. I know I do not deserve another chance. She said nothing. But I wish to spend every day proving myself to you and to our children. Silence filled the hall. Then Luna gently pushed Elara toward him. The people laughed softly. Even the queen smiled. Darius held out his hand. May I begin again? Elara looked at their children, then at the kingdom around them. Finally, she placed her hand in his.
Yes.
The hall erupted into cheers once more. The children hugged their parents. For the first time in many years, peace settled over the palace. Days passed. The kingdom slowly healed. Villages were rebuilt. Orphaned children found homes. The wolves remained near the palace as loyal guardians. Every morning Rowan and Luna ran through the gardens while Elara watched with a smile. One afternoon she stood on a balcony overlooking the mountains. Darius stepped beside her. You're thinking again. She smiled softly. I used to dream of having a family. I never believed it would happen. He looked toward the gardens. Neither did I. For a moment they stood in silence. Then, he gently took her hand.
Thank you.
For what? For refusing to turn away those children. She looked at him. If you had closed your door that night, none of this would exist. She smiled. I could never turn away a child. He laughed softly. That is why the wolves chose you. A warm breeze touched them. Below in the gardens, Rowan and Luna were chasing butterflies. Their laughter filled the air. Everything felt perfect. Then a distant howl echoed from beyond the palace gates. Elara lifted her head. Another howl answered. The wolves in the courtyard suddenly stood. A guard hurried toward the balcony. Your Majesty, there is someone at the gates. Elara and Darius looked at each other. Moments later they walked into the courtyard. The great gates slowly opened. Everyone stopped. A small pup stood there, alone. Its fur was white. Its blue eyes were frightened. Around its neck hung a tiny silver ribbon. The little creature looked at Elara. Then it slowly walked toward her. The wolves stepped aside, as if they had been expecting it. Elara knelt. The pup pressed against her hand. She smiled softly. Another orphan. Darius laughed under his breath. It seems your family is growing again. Rowan and Luna rushed forward.
Can we keep it?
Please. Elara looked at the tiny pup, then at her children, then at the wolves watching quietly. A familiar warmth filled her heart. She lifted the little creature into her arms. Of course. The children cheered. The wolves howled. The sun dipped behind the mountains and painted the sky with gold. Queen Selene stood at the palace gates with her family beside her and an orphaned pup in her arms. Once she had been a lonely healer in a small cabin.
Now she was a queen.
A mother, a wife, and a protector of every lost soul who found its way to her door. Because some hearts are chosen not by crowns or destiny, but by kindness. And the wolves had known that truth long before anyone else.